Greetings. When we last left our travelers, they were on the planet Light. They had just landed, and they were looking for evidence about the location of one Fonda civilian, who is the young student that they are being tasked to rescue off of the planet now that her school and that region has been sort of engulfed in periodic fighting. Welcome to episode 9, where our team here is going to watch the news or news footage from the past few days to learn of Fonda's fate. If you recall, we met with Sergeant Norrell here, and he was head of security. We were asking him originally if Fonda had boarded the Amelia to evac, that was sent here to evac all of these Imperial students. He indicated that she wasn't, but he did recognize her from her participating, her being that reporter on the scene at the attack of the school, which we learned had been wiped out, had been destroyed in fighting. So we decided we would take a quick look at the footage and try to figure out potentially what happened to young Fonda. So there's a couple things. I did make a chart with a bunch of possibilities on it. I was like, well, how can her news end? And I said, well, her position was shelled and there was a huge explosion, so that would be an ending. She barely escapes being captured by the Vesporan Light Legion. She is captured by the Vesporan Light Legion. She is captured by members of the other group, which would lead to certain things. What is that? The Light Liberty Front, which would then lead to a weird concept of, well, what are they doing there, right? But we didn't roll that, so it's fine. She is shot or hit with shrapnel. She just watches the Ravaski forces retake the area. All is well. Or the Ravask forces move in and for some reason take her prisoner because they think maybe she's a spy or something. And then something weird. So we rolled something weird. And then under something weird, we had like evidence of some kind of weird weapon or psionics, or some students were helping the enemy, or stray fire causes like a fire or some other disaster on campus. Gross incompetence by the Ravask is shown, and that's something they would probably want to, write. Quiet or friendly fire incident, which would also be sort of. So what I rolled something weird, evidence of psi, and then I had to roll again to see how her story actually ended up. And she is captured by the Vesporan Light Legion as they pull back. So I'm sort of imagining that she is, right, she is sort of perched up against a building, like ducked down, and she is reporting as Fiona Hurst. She's using an assumed name, and she's giving you that, I'm the reporter on the scene as units from what we believe to be the Vesporan Light Legion are moving in, right? And so they're shooting in the back. You can hear like shooting, and you can hear vehicles driving and shouting. And she indicates that, of course, students were told, and faculty and staff were told to shelter in place or to evacuate if they could, or shelter in place if they couldn't. But she is out there recording so that you can see the battle firsthand, and indicates, of course, that whatever, like the Ravaski forces have just started to move up. You can see some of the vehicles moving on the surrounding hills, and then maybe even hear the jets coming in over off the sea from like a carrier or something, and then then I'm going to imagine, because again, the school was destroyed. So there's some kind of shelling or bombing, and just things are getting lit up all around her. And she's trying her best to get a view, and you can see some fighting, but there's explosions and so on going on. Now, what I'm going to say Parker is busy. We have 3 characters here. I'm going to give them each a roll. Lars, Thomas, and Zach. Probably just an int check. And none of them have any pluses. And the question is, do they notice? I'm just looking for... Yeah, so I think Zach might notice for sure with his 10. So at some point he stops. He's like, "Do you see that?" And everybody's like, "No, what are you talking about?" Because of course your view is not on her immediate surroundings. Your view is on the scene of the battle going on down there, as a couple, light tanks and infantry is fighting, and there's shelling going on all around her. And so, but as a couple of these stray shells hit really close, Zach sort of rolls the footage back and he's like, "Do you see that right there?" And they're like, "What are you talking about, man?" And he's like, "Oh, give me 1 second. I'm going to I'll put my face up. Hey, what's up, everybody? Oh, I locked it. Let's unlock it and then put it up top." And he's like, "Right there." And so what you see is, like, as she sort of gets nervous and she ducks down from the shell or whatever, you can see the fear on her face. But then what you see is that there's a bunch of small, tiny objects around her. Maybe she's in a dorm or a building that's been sort of collapsed, but either the small stones or even, small knickknacks that would be on a desk, like just a little statuette or a paperweight kind of thing, or a statuette or a pencil. They float in the air. And you could probably maybe miss it and go, well, that's just something from the explosion, or right, some weird, but it is unmistakable that that's not the case, right? These things are disobeying gravity, right? They are floating. I'm gonna green screen my hand on. No, I can't. Right, they're actually floating in the air. And I think they probably, and she's, of course, this is all being streamed live, so her camera, her little drone camera or whatever, is filming and broadcasting this live, but doesn't pay, obviously it's focused where she is trying to focus, but you can see it just out of the corner, and you might not notice it. 9 out of 10 people might not notice it, but someone you possibly would notice that her fear, and it definitely is a fear. It's definitely correlates with, like, the bombs getting closer and there's soldiers all around us or something like that, right? Where she is trying to sort of hold in those intense, fearful emotions, and then you see the stuff floating. So there's evidence of psionics and evidence that Fonda herself, I was going to call her Fiona, that's her assumed name, Fonda herself has some kind of power. Now, psionics is super rare, to the point where it's generally considered to be a tale kind of thing. But probably these military guys may have seen it or seen evidence, or had I don't know. None of these guys got very high rank in their respective services, but certainly it's possible that someone has. So well, let's do that. Does anyone have sort of an inkling of psionic, what it would be? So we'll give a roll with maybe edu, but maybe a 10 or above on this one. Probably no. Thomas has a little bit. Yeah, so Thomas maybe. And what about Lars? And Lars is part of he's a believer in that one consciousness, so I'm going to give him a bonus. Yeah, so I think both Thomas and Lars, Thomas has definitely heard rumors of certain psionic lineages, maybe, or families, closely kept guarded secrets. So these are definitely rumors around, around tea time or whatever for the nobles, right? And I think that Lars just absolutely believes in it, because I think he believes that that's probably one of the beliefs of this one voice, is that, well, of course we can, of course human minds can manipulate the universe. They are part of, right, the fabric of everything, and so they by definition manipulate the fabric of the universe. Can they levitate a pen? Yeah, most certainly. That's nothing is out of, quantum possibility kind of thing. So I think they're like, I think Thomas is like, oh, this family, this civilian family, maybe they knew. Maybe they didn't tell us. Maybe this is why Fonda is so important to be gotten, preserved, whatever, right? To saved, right? So the group does notice the evidence of psi. So they definitely notice. Do the civilians know? I don't think Fonda knows. It doesn't seem like she knows, but I'm going to give them a chance that they might know. Maybe a 9 or up on a D12 here. They absolutely do. They super know. So we don't know that, of course. Super yes. So, Lord and Lady latent psi ability. What the heck does that mean? I don't know yet. It means that this got way more complicated all of a sudden in a weird way. And regardless of what happens to Fonda, they're going to have to figure that's something to figure out. So interesting point there. That is why we play these ones, because it's just a solo, because it's just sort of interesting when that comes up. I mean, there was not a very, there wasn't a big chance. I mean, 1 in 48, because you had to roll an 8, and then I had a 1 in 6 chance of the side. So it's a 1 in 48 chance. So it's still like 2%. Nonetheless, certainly not amazingly common. So that's cool. At that point, I think the stuff drops to the ground, and the retreating soldiers, she's like, stuff drops to the ground as she is startled, and she goes, they must have heard me, right? I don't know whether she's outside or maybe she's actually in a building that's partially ruined, and she's up on maybe the second floor, and she's trying to look down to get a view of all the battles. I hear them downstairs, and then the VLL comes, and they grab, she's pushed to the ground, the camera is knocked over to the side, and it tries to get back up, and it's still recording or whatever. We got the spy or whatever, right? That kind of thing. Or they know she's a journalist with the camera, or, whatever. But nonetheless, the VLL, 2 or 3 of these soldiers come through, knock her to the ground, knock the camera to the ground. The camera tries to get back up and start re-recording. And at some point the footage ends. Someone just one of them shoots the camera or something. But it's pretty obvious she was captured by the VLL, and I'm going to say that that's obvious because the uniforms that they were like, they were wearing honest to goodness VLL uniforms. Then Fonda is Fonda's position is overrun by VLL, and they capture her. All right. So I do think that... Oh, I'm going to pause for 1 second. So I think this all leaves our characters in a little bit of a jam here, because the question is, how do you... Where the hell is she? You know... Now, it's probably not... I mean, so she's likely close. This only happened days ago. She's likely not super far away. So that is true. She is likely close to the border. She could be at whatever base they staged the attack from. She could be moved to some makeshift POW camps. You know, she could be handed off to, like, either a local authority, because they just don't want to deal with her as she's a civilian, right? Once they determine that she's a civilian and doesn't really have much, you know, in the way of military intelligence to offer or anything like that, they might turn her over to the local authorities. I don't know that so this is the Vesporan Light Legion. They're not really part of Vesper. Vesper supports them and fights, you know, using as a proxy. I don't think Vesper, the actual government of the Vesporan Revolution, would be super jazzed about them taking students as hostages, because these are students from Sunder and Algiers, and ideally they would like Sunder and Algiers to join them. And that is not going to go well with the ruling class of those planets. So I think that's what we have to figure out next. We have to figure out, so what happens? Where did they take her? So I think the group is going to head to the site of the school, and they're going to go, and you know, they know that. So I think just with some small quick inquiries, they know that the site of the school has been sort of mostly destroyed, but commandeered by whatever did I write it down? 16th Ravaskin. So okay. So the school is destroyed and being used by the Ravask 16th Legion, who is cleaning up and setting up an advanced base, either for counterattack or to prep for future attacks. So the question is, oh, you know where they'll go? I'll tell you where they'll go instead, because they might be able to give better answers. But if that doesn't play out, then they'll go to the school. So they're going to go to the news station. And so they head to the news station. The group heads that Fonda was, set up the broadcast with. And what's the name of the editor? Let's call him He is Strayer Smith. That's his name. It's a dumb name, but I, you know, on the fly, I'm making up dumb names. I need a name generator for Traveler. All right, so they're gonna go. So they go. They take, you know, whatever. They take a cab. I think the law level here is such that right now, because they're under like the law, you know, law level now is blades only, no guns. Yeah, civilians carrying guns, not a great look, right? So you're either in the militia or in the you're in a defense force or no guns. So you have to have like a card saying you're in the defense force kind of thing. So you need, now that could lead us a way to get guns on the planet. I obviously spelled militia wrong. There we go. So you're in a militia defense force, right, to carry a gun. So done. So they head out, they go to the local news station, and I'm going to say it's probably not that hard to get, you know, to meet up with editor, you know, the editor, right? Oh, I mean, I'm sure he's a busy man, but I do think that he'll agree to meet them for whatever, the 10, 20 minutes, right? If they mention Fonda's name, he agrees to meet them. So the news guy, I mean, the news is running ragged. Like all these dudes are running all over the place, and he goes through they go through the busy newsroom. The secretary sort of shows them in, and Strayer Smith, who, you know, what am I picturing? I'm picturing that editor Smith here, maybe he's got a little bit of that J. Jonah Jameson look about him, right? Older guy, reasonably fit, sport coat button down, undone a couple of those buttons undone. Jeans or something comfortable, right? You know. Yeah, right. Yeah, come on in. And we're, you know, that girl was that girl had a lot of fire in her, she contacted us, you know, and yeah, said that she could get, you know, live footage of the fighting. Right? And what a firebrand. Yeah, shame that she got swept up. So what they're going to ask this guy, I suppose. So so you didn't have any, like, no physical, she never came to the news station. So was she there for any reason otherwise? Let's say it's maybe say it's a 10, 11, or 12 that she had already physically been to the news station on like an internship or a school visit or something like that. No, never heard of this girl before in my life, to be quite honest with you. We had gotten reports that the VLL was on the move. There had been literally a column of vehicles and moving up. And so we were pretty sure that they were primed for some kind of operation, but I think everybody thought it would happen way closer to the starport and not up here, because the starport is actually on the southern part of that. So we thought they were just moving through, but almost, you know, they turned on a dime and just made a beeline, made a blitz toward the school grounds. Not exactly sure why or what was there. Okay, so she didn't have any equipment from your station or anything like that. No, not at all. I mean, she had her own drone, little remote camera, And she did, you know, and she had great control of that thing too, like some kind of remote or program to follow, like that, you know. So I don't know what she did with it, but it was actually, you could see the footage. The footage was great for, you know, for an amateur, for a student. So has she been in contact at all afterward? And he shakes his head no. Well, okay, now you know what? Let's give it a roll. But this is a 12, probably. Has she actually been in contact, or has the VLL been in contact? Let's say 11 or 12. We'll give her a little. Geez, okay, okay. Well, sure. So he's gonna say, yes, indeed they have. They gave us. Supposedly that's all she told them when she was being debriefed. And this and she had them contact us. She told them that she was working for us, for the station, and so we got a contact from the local VLL commander. And we did get to talk to her for like 10 minutes to see that she was okay at least. So what did the VLL want? I think mostly just as much as anything else, confirmation of the story. Let's give this guy. So, did you see anything or note anything? So this wasn't a phone call. No, this was. I mean, it was on the. I suppose it would have to be. I'll have to be on the whatever the planetary cell kind of network is, which I assume this planet would have, that kind of communication apparatus. So yeah, it was from her. It was from her comm, her cell. Okay. Is there a way to trace that signal to where she's being held? So first things first, we're going to ask Strayer. So did you notice anything? Did you see anything, right in the background that would tell you where she might be being held? So this is a hard one. We'll give him just a quote unquote skill roll to see, oh yeah, I noticed, blah, blah, right, or, whatnot. No, I don't think he did. No, she was in a dark room. Like, there was really no other details to see. The commander was obviously in there with her. Did she, did she say anything odd? Did she do anything to give away her, position? Obviously, they recorded the call. So obviously, they recorded the call. The group, so maybe the group asked to see that, and I mean, and I think the group is honest with this dude, and they're like, yeah, we're trying to, right, we're on behalf of her grandparents, and we're trying to find her and get her out of here, or at least, right. So we'll give Zach, so he can see the call, And does he have any concept of a way they can 7, 8, 9? So it's like a sort of success, right? It's a 9, which is a success. Not a rousing success. Doesn't succeed on a 10, succeeds on an 8. If it was on the cell network, they might be able to get at least a rough estimate of where that phone was. So they can trace back at least, and this is, we'll say 2 days ago that this call came through. So they can sort of trace back to at least see if she's nearby or if that call was made from across the eastern continent or whatnot. But they're going to have to get those records. Give me 1 second. We do think that we can track the cell record just to see. That'll take maybe a day. I think the editor can probably get those records for us. He's like, yeah, I can get those records for you. So what I need to do now, so I did do a role, sort of, is she being held in a POW camp, turned over to local authorities, moved back away from the front, probably as a hostage of some sort. Was she killed? That's probably unlikely now that, or did something happen and she manifests that psionic power and escapes? So I'm going to say that's a 1 to 5. That is a 6 and 7, 8, 9, and then just a 10. So they confirmed her story. So so we're gonna roll a d10. And I don't have 12. I just have a d10. And I rolled a 3. So she's being held. Now we don't know this yet, but she's being held in a makeshift camp, right? So I think we're gonna wait the couple hours, but we're gonna head to the school area just to see, and maybe we can get even something from the local commander in terms of, he's probably busy, so that's gonna be rough. But we do have, we have some military dudes here, and we do have, like I said, Thomas has admin, which is not a terrible way to sort of try to sneak in, poke your way in. And I'm sure there actually probably is some kind of rescue effort. So that's what they're going to try to do. They're going to try. So there's probably a rescue effort for students that did not evac, because there probably are more than one group of students that did not evac from the school or could not evac from the school or were in the process of when the school got hit and overrun. So there are probably relief efforts going on next to the military efforts, etc. So we head to the school. And try to talk to the local commander. I'll make a skill roll. I'll make like an admin check, right? Just to see if we can, whatever the protocol is to try to get a quick audience with a man who's obviously going to be very busy at the moment. 7, 8, maybe 9 at best. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that's, he's too busy. He is too busy. And not willing to talk. But the head of the, relief effort and rescue effort Amanda Gray, there we go, is willing to speak to us. So I think as we get sort of rebuffed, so imagine, a bunch of tents, a bunch of sort of makeshift construction. Heck, there's probably said makeshift construction in the sense that they probably could set up quick buildings with, whatever technology they have. So there's a quick setup of military buildings and encampment. There are probably vehicles, light tanks, a lot of troops running around. Off to the side, there is, probably no more than 50 yards away, there are then a bunch of tents there, and sort of, a FEMA-like operation of people trying to go through wreckage or identify students or identify bodies. And if there's, living get them to hospitals or get them away from the war zone, etc. And so Amanda Gray is willing to speak to us. And so we're going to ask her about, about our gal Fonda. And of course, I'm sure she has seen the news footage and go, oh, yes, I don't know. That was crazy. Like, that's, I certainly hope that the administration does not condone like that kind of behavior from the students. Brave, but stupid. And I think what we're going to ask Amanda Gray is, obviously she's not here. So you didn't find her, you didn't find a body or anything like that. And I think the answer is no. Well, no, we don't know that. Hold on. We actually don't know. Oh, we do know that. We have held in a makeshift POW camp. We rolled. Okay. Like, if I rolled a 9, she was killed. So her body would be here, and that would suck. But, because that would end that whole psionic subplot that is somehow happened today. So we're going to talk to Amanda Gray, and I think the question that we're going to be sort of asking is, generally, does she know of what or where they could be keeping her, or where, where they are? And I don't know that she would know necessarily. Or maybe she has reached out actually to the VLL and their command to see if, because they might have students in custody, that kind of thing. So I'm going to make an admin roll for Amanda here. 5. She doesn't know. She does not know. So we do check the tracker, obviously, then her body, her tooth is not here. So we know that that's not the case. So we know that that isn't the case. So that's good. I wonder if we could. So let's see. You got me here a little bit. So I think Amanda Gray does know that, they have in the past captured right? Or they civilians and so on are typically turned over to local authorities, or kept in makeshift camps until they're released, or that kind of thing. So I think the general concept would be that she thinks they're probably close by, but she has no way of knowing. Journalists probably wouldn't be released as quickly, I think. Yeah, the VLL has, I think she says the VLL has a habit of just putting, throwing them in prison, the captured journalist, maybe because they're a threat, a security threat. Let me pop. I don't know if you hear my phone, but my phone keeps buzzing from our game last night. So I think this is a dead end, except, like I said, maybe she's close. And so we might, so I think our options would be something like, right? So what can we do? We might be able to take the air raft out and try to do as close a flyby as we can to some of these, some along this battle line or around some of these towns. Do a recon, see if there's camps that we can find, and thus check those. We might be able to place a call to her cell and see if we can trace that call. And see at least what's being pinged to get us closer in. Now that's assuming they haven't destroyed the phone, which they may very well have. The commander would probably be able to tell us exactly where the camps are, which would give us, but he's not talking to us. And you could, I mean, anything, and like, I think your flyby in the air raft would be low altitude, quick flyby at night kind of thing. If you go up in the air and you're spotted, you're just shot down. Air rafts are not like meant for aerial anything. Let's call the phone first and see if we can get any sort of anything there. So let's say on an 11 or 12, the phone is still in existence. Otherwise, it isn't. It is. Interesting. So we're going to make a call. We're going to place a call. And we're going to see if our guy, Zach, can then utilize the records, right? So we're going to go to our editor. So we return to editor, Strayer Smith. And I think he is impressed enough with Fonda. He wants to get her back. He does not want, he wants this, right? Because that's good press for him and his station, right? This scrappy young college student being a war correspondent. If ultimately she ended up captured or dead, I think that sort of sucks, but the story really is cool otherwise if she's not captured. So he will help. So they're going to rig up to the try to get the, like I said, the cell records. Not really cell. I don't know what the actual communication mechanism is, but it's something similar to a cellular service. They will call the phone, see if it's A, answered, or B, if then they can make some kind of comms check to get an idea of at least within 2 kilometers, because that's sort of what they would then do. Is that. So let's do that. Let's call the phone, which we have already said is still in existence. Editor Smith will have made the arrangements with the comm company to be able to get the signal, the record of that, signal, and track that phone kind of thing. Let's make a roll on our electronics comms with education, so that's a +2. 3. Cannot do it. That's one where if you had, like, if this is Room Bearer, I'd re-roll that shit. I'd be like, yes, we're spending inspiration. We do not have that capability to spend inspiration. And so I'm going to say, though the phone is ringing, we cannot quite get it down to a traceable location. Like, there is no good way. They don't have whatever the records are or whatnot, however they're doing it. So the signal's not, that phone is not emanating a signal to any of the towers that they currently have access to the records of. So it is far enough away. So what I'm assuming is, I'm assuming that the VLL is in control of X amount of the various cell infrastructure, and they don't have access to those records, and they're not close enough to the cell infrastructure that we do have records for. And excuse my ignorance, I know nothing of how any of that works, for real. So I'm going to say that because she's on the other side of the line, as it were, and not close enough to not close enough to where we're at. Now that gives us maybe a little bit of a clue there too, because, we do have, well, I mean, if you were within range of our infrastructure, she would have to be here, these places. So you could probably say, well, given the fact that the battle occurred here, and she would have to be within this range, she's not going to be that much further from here, right? From the furthermost point from our own cell infrastructure. But it gives us no leads as to her position. So it's possible that we have run into a little bit of a dead end. We're not sure. We don't know that she's been sent to a makeshift POW camp. Yeah. So we don't know. So without like some consideration of her location, we would not be able to say. So yeah, so I've thought about it a little bit. I think we give our guys one more shot before we maybe make the call that, well, we're going to head back. Just going to have to not bring her back and just tell her. I think the group is a little bit concerned. I think like Zach is probably or not Zach. Maybe Lars is concerned for her safety now. I mean, psionics is not well regarded. So if someone found out, I think the VLL is like, yeah, you're a journalist, and then she manifests psionic abilities, and they're like, whoa, you're an agent of, right, that kind of thing. I even if she isn't. So I think they're interested in grabbing her for her own safety, for sure. Not only the 120,000 is not a small thing either. So what I think they're going to do is I think they're going to engage in several sorties over the next 3 to 5 nights in the air raft at night, sort of over the border, try to assume that the camp is in some band of distance from here, and outside of the cell infrastructure range, since we've already noted that we can't find her cell phone, right? Use their tracker, and first off, try to visually identify if there's any detention camps along that band. So we're sort of assuming so I will create a crap page here just to sort of show what my assumption is. So here's my assumption. My assumption is that the battle occurred here. Here's town. Right, here is the school. And that the VLL came in this way and they left this way. So, right, so the VLL is somewhere over here. That the cell, right, that so here there's some radius of cell towers that if she was here, we would have pinged her. So let's say the border, this is a little too close. Let's control Z this shit here. Let's get rid of the, so let's say that we think, like these are all the cell tower sort of pinging radius, and this is the border. So we're like, well, she's not in this zone. This zone has been excluded because we can't find that phone. But my guess is she's not way over here for, whoa, hey, what the hell? Oops, sorry about that. that got away from me, is what I'm saying. So she's not here, but she's probably not way over here either because they probably haven't moved her that much. So let's pretend that there's a radius around the school. Let me make said radius. That is the sort of, and we would alter that for roads and so on, right? Roads and towns are going to be, these places are going to be near infrastructure, likely, but not necessarily. And so we're looking, no, not cool. We're looking so like here, like assuming that this is sort of a zone that we should concentrate our efforts on. We're going to try some pattern here through to see if, again, prioritizing, I think, towns and or military bases first, if we can get a record on that, and then see what we can do. So I think there's a little bit of, peril in that, and the peril would be getting caught on the border, getting spotted or caught. And then obviously finding them would be a thing. So let's say we do have recon. So we have recon and we have good stealth. Lars is good. He's like, yeah, I can get us out there. I think Thomas is going to try to fill out whatever forms he needs to essentially get we have Streetwise. It's not great, but we have it. I think we'll try that first. So over the course of the next couple days, so this is going to take multiple days, this plan, I think. So we are going to have to look for her. Going to have to take to the road to look for Fonda. First, Lars is going to try to get us on the slide. Lars is going to make some contacts. and hopefully get a card, get an, let's say an ID saying we are in we're in the militia, essentially, so we can take the gun, so everybody can go grab the rifles and the sidearms. Let's see if Lars can make any contacts over the next couple days. No. Nope, no contacts. This is not fruitful. Doesn't work. Thomas will try to bribe, but maybe we can just bribe. We can just bribe an official. So literally working admin and working admin and is social. See if we can't. So we fill out the forms. Let's make an admin check. 8, 9, if we add social, 10. So that is a success, but what is that going to cost us? Let's roll 2d6. It's going to cost us 7,000 credits, which we're going to do. Oh, by the way, I did make, if you see, I did make a... I did say I was going to make a little chart, right? An Excel to track our expenses. So this is going to be day 159. Sure. And this is bribe for official to carry guns. Minus 7,000. So as soon as we fill in this C column here, then it's going to calculate. Now, I've added the selling of the petrochemicals, even though that probably hasn't quite happened yet, but maybe, maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. Keep in mind, we're 176,000 plus credits into Lord Civilian, so we actually owe him 176. So when we actually get back from here, we're not going to have a whole bunch. We're not going to have a ton more than the 80,000 he's going to give us. So 176 is what? I don't know, 250, 170. We'll have like 80,000 plus whatever he ends up if we get the 80K. So we get a we do get cards that allow us to get the guns out of the starport. And I think we're just going to pack them into the air raft, and we're going to pack, a rifle for everybody and pistol, effectively sidearm, and blade if they have it, if they have the skill. We'll get the binoculars that we have, since we had a set of binoculars at some point. Obviously our comms, watches, and I think we need a stealth check and a recon check. I think Lars is going to make both of those. He is going to find a way to get past the border patrols. That'll be a stealth check, but we have a lot of stealth, so he's he's like, yeah, these VLL chumps they're not doing a good job at all. Their patrols are very lackluster. So I'm going to say that that's such a good roll because his effect is 8. So I'm going to say that's such a good roll that we have found several holes. We have no problem getting past the patrols as long as we don't do anything to alarm them, like, say, bust into one of their things. Like, getting out is different, but we can get in and out over the course of several days without a problem. Let's make a recon check now, and I do have 2 guys with recon. I have Zach and and Lars. So we're going to do a recon check and see, scouting that area, can we find any camps at all? And then can we use the tracker to get her, right, to get Fonda's, a trace on Fonda's location. So let's roll recon for Lars. 8, that's a 9. So in effect 1. Let's roll for Zach. 4, 5. So no. So he gets us nothing. So we got an effective 2. So that's good. Let me roll a d12 and we're going to use that. So I'm going to say we succeeded with a 2 effect. We'll add, like I said, 2 to that just because we succeeded at all. So 4 and 12, and we make an absolute positive that she's there. If we don't, we have at least got the location of a camp. 1. So I'm going to say that we scout around for like just a couple nights. So 2 days. So what is it? It is day 159. Right? It's day 159. So 156 we land. Day 159. Let's say on day 161. We find the VLL patrols to be lackluster. Can scout with ease along that border. Our recon checks do find a couple camps, we'll say. But the second one is the one because Fonda's tracking device goes off. We have found the camp. So let's say again. So let's do it again. So on a scale of 1 to 12, I mean it's guarded no matter what. But by how much, right? How much is this place going to be on a scale of 12? There's guards everywhere, towers. It's an honest to God POW camp. On 1, it's a temporary makeshift detention camp that they threw together, and it is a 6. So the camp is a temporary detention camp, but it is guarded. So there are, there are probably soldiers housed here. But it is guarded, and there are, guard towers, spotlights, etc. So we're reconning this from over the hill kind of thing at night. Again, based on Lars's amazing stealth skill, let's say, we're not worried about them seeing us. We got close enough within the 2 clicks. The tracker goes off, so we know she's in there somewhere. But there's 4 guard towers. There's guards at the gate, right? All the tents and stuff in there. So we are going to have to find a way in and find a way out. And I am going to probably take the time to draw it up a little bit, like the other one, like the starport or whatever. And we'll see where we place everything and then see sort of what our options are. So we're going to leave that for next episode, guys. Thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed it. I will talk to you all later.